Hello everybody and welcome back to the Well Worth It channel. This is the full true story of Paul Levesque, Triple H, Hunter Harris Helmsley, and his rise in professional wrestling. So Paul Levesque was born in Nashua, New Hampshire. Funny, I was also raised in New Hampshire, not born there, but I was raised there, not in Nashua. I was raised in Seabrook. Paul Levesque was raised in Nashua and he started training in 1990. He started training in Malden, Massachusetts at Kowalski's IWF. And he debuted as Terror Rising. And his first match was against Tony Roy, and he beat him. And Triple H, Terror Rising, whatever you want to call him, he stayed there, worked a long time. He even became a heavyweight champion in the IWF. Or International Wrestling Federation, whatever you want to call it. So he won his first World Heavyweight Champion in 1992 by defeating Mad Dog Richard in Kowalski's IWF. And then in January 1994, Levesque signed a one-year contract with World Championship Wrestling, or WCW. He debuted as Terror Rising as a heel, and then was shortly later repackaged as Jean-Paul Levesque, a French aristocrat that spoke with a French accent, even though he can't speak French, but he was asked to do that. Levesque stayed in WCW for a short period of time, and at Starrcade 1994, he lost to Alex Wright. You guys know who Alex Wright is, right? This guy. Yeah. The guy who comes down to the ring dancing. Pretty much a jogger. Alex Wright had some good matches, don't get me wrong, but when you think about it, Triple H or Alex Wright, Triple H was always better than Alex Wright, even as Jean-Paul Levesque. And if he stayed in WCW, he would have never been anything. And I think he knew that. After that Starrcade loss, he started a tag team with Lord Steven Regal, or as we know him today, as William Regal. They became good friends in real life. And that's when, Regal got in his ear and told him to go to WWF, or WWE now. But at the time, it was WWF. So his contract ended in January 1995, and Levesque and WCW couldn't come to an agreement. I'm sure he wanted more money or better booking, and WCW said, no, you're going to keep losing to Alex Wright. So he took his chance and left and went over to WWE. So in 1995, Levesque signed a deal with WWF under the ring name Hunter Harris Helmsley. At this time, they didn't call him Triple H, The Game, or anything like this. It was just Hunter Harris Helmsley. And this character was basically the same as his character in WCW, a French aristocrat. He suffered his first pin loss at Survivor Series 1995 to The Undertaker. He was booked pretty strong at first. But after his loss to The Undertaker, Helmsley started to fall lower and lower down the card until he got a valet. Sable, yeah. Sable started walking him down and to the ring, and this is when he started getting a little more popular. And then at WrestleMania 12 in 1996, he lost to the Ultimate Warrior, and then he snapped, and he started beating down Sable, and this is when Sable's real-life boyfriend or husband debuted, Mark Merrill. Mark Merrill was a beast, I think. And then in June 1996, Helmsley had a match with Marty Garner. And when when Helmsley put Marty Garnett in the pedigree, he mistook it for a double underhook suplex and jumped too high, and he came down on his neck. I don't know if he broke his neck, but he had a lot of neck damage, and he sued WWF, and they settled out of court, though. And then after that, he became a member of the Clique. Yeah, along with Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, Diesel, and Sean Waltman, X-Pac, 1-2-3 Kid, whatever you want to call him. It was believed that Levesque was scheduled to win the 1996 King of the Ring until the moment known as the curtain call. Yeah, I think we all know what that is, but if you don't, I'll give you a brief rundown. So, at a house show at Madison Square Garden in 1996, Diesel, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, they were both leaving, their contracts were done, and they were going to greener pastures in WCW. So, after the match, Shawn Michaels beat Kevin Nash, and then they all came down to the ring and hugged each other and broke kayfabe. This was the first time that kayfabe was really broken, and Vince McMahon didn't like that at all. So, he couldn't punish Kevin Nash, he couldn't punish Scott Hall, but he could punish Triple H. So, he wouldn't let him win the King of the Ring at that time. He couldn't punish Shawn Michaels either because he was the World Heavyweight Champion at the time. So, Helmsley was punished, but he never gave up. No, he didn't. He ate a lot of crap. He sure did. And then he won his first Intercontinental Championship by defeating Mark Merrill. And eventually he lost the belt to Rocky Maivia, or as we know him today as The Rock. Yeah, nobody liked him as Rocky Maivia. Do you guys remember Die Rocky Die, the chants? I do. Well, he lost it to Rocky Maivia, and then after that feud, he had a few matches with Goldust. And during this feud, his real-life girlfriend, Chyna, debuted. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, back when he was in IWF in school in Malden, Massachusetts at Killer Kowalski's, a couple of his classmates, Chyna was one of them, and Perry Saturn was another one. That sounds like a pretty good class. 3 superstars. I think they're all superstars. Perry Saturn didn't have the best career in WWF, but before that he had a pretty good career. WCW, ECW. I always liked Saturn. I think he should have got more. And then, King of the Ring, 1997. Helmsley defeated Mankind in the finals. Later that year, Helmsley, Shawn Michaels, and Rick Rude started the group known as D-Generation X. Even I forgot that Rick Rude was part of DX, the original DX. And not too sure how long that lasted, but, you know, that's when his name was shortened to Triple H. This was kind of around the start of the Attitude Era. It was starting to begin. During this time, he was feuding with the Hart Foundation, and he had a lot of matches with Owen Hart and Bret Hart, and he even won the European Championship during this time. After WrestleMania in 1998, Shawn Michaels was forced to retire due to back injury at the Royal Rumble, and then Triple H became the leader of DX. And then after that, that's when Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and even the returning 1-2-3 Kid re-debuted as X-Pac, and the new DX started. So Rick Rude actually quit and went back to WCW during this time. DX was one of the stables responsible for starting the Attitude Era, or the actual only stable responsible for the Attitude Era. They pushed the boundaries really far, guys. They had raunchy promos, and they were doing the crotch chops, the suck it, all that. WWF was losing sponsors at the time because of this, and a little bit later they actually changed their name to WWE because of this, their lawsuits with the World Wildlife Foundation and all that. So during this time, during this era, he had one of his most epic rivalries, at least in my view, with the Nation of Domination. Yeah. Where he actually won his second Intercontinental Championship by defeating The Rock in a ladder match. That was a great match. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. And then in January 1999, Triple H had his first WWF Championship match or opportunity against The Rock in an I Quit match. But he lost. He did lose. This is when The Rock was corporate Rock, the corporation. The corporate elbow instead of the people's elbow. I thought it was hilarious. And after that, SummerSlam, same year, he had his second chance at the WWF Championship, where he and Mankind had a triple threat match against then champion Stone Cold Steve Austin, where Mankind actually won that match. If you guys don't remember, WCW said live on the air, who would watch Mick Foley win a heavyweight championship, and everybody tuned in. And that's when the WCW ratings started to go down and WWF started to go up. The very next night on Raw, Triple H had another opportunity at the WWF Heavyweight Championship against Mankind, and he actually beat him. So Mankind was only a champion for 24 hours. And then Triple H took the title. And then he didn't hold the title for very long. He actually lost it in September 1999 to who else other than Vince McMahon. That's right, no chance in hell. During this time, the WWF ran a storyline with Test and Stephanie McMahon. They were going to get married, and Vince was having a feud with Test and this and that. And the people in the back didn't like it because Test really wasn't a main event guy. He was more of a mid-carder, but rest in peace, Test, Andrew Martin. I think he had one of the best cage matches ever. Go back and watch him jump off the Hell in a Cell with a leg drop. It's pretty impressive. And so that's when, Triple H started going behind people's backs, and he went right to Vince McMahon and said, why is Test in this storyline? Test's a nobody. Put me in this storyline. I don't want to marry your daughter. And then we all know what happened from there. This was a storyline on TV that actually played out in real life. It's pretty sad. And it wasn't just that. Test could have been a world heavyweight champion for all we know. But no, he never made it past, hardcore or intercontinental championship. So how much of this story was true? Probably all of it, because it all turned out to be true. Paul Levesque is the biggest professional brown noser on the planet. He always snuck around the back, talked crap about his co-workers and everybody else to Vince, and always wanted to give himself the advantage. Levesque went on to have a Hall of Fame-worthy career. I'll never take that away from him. He is a two-time Royal Rumble winner, 2002 and 2016. Yeah. He's a one-time King of the Ring winner. He's three-time WWE Tag Team Champion, a two-time European Champion, five-time Intercontinental Champion, and 14-time World Champion. That's an impressive record for somebody who is only supposed to be terrorizing and never make it past the low card. Then Levesque had his final match in 2021 on an episode of Raw against Randy Orton. And later on in September, he ended up having severe heart failure. And that was the end of his in-ring career. And then in 2022, Levesque was promoted to the Chief of Content and Head of Talent Relations. Now it's 2026, and in my opinion, Levesque is driving this company downhill fast. When he first took over, I was very excited. He was one of my favorites. During that time, when he married Stephanie and all that, he was one of my favorite characters. I always thought, hey, maybe he'll take over this company one day. That'd be cool. I always thought he would have a good vision. But it turned out that all he cares about is cheap pops, He doesn't care about the fans. And if we say bad things, he says we're not real fans. I'm doing this because I want him to do better. I want to watch WWE television and not fall asleep on my couch. I want to watch it and say, hey, that was a good show. Not an okay show or a crappy show. I mean, look at the Royal Rumble winners that we got, at least for the men. Roman Reigns this year, Jey Uso last year, we could have had so many better winners. We could all debate on who we thought or think should have won, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that he's making the right decisions, and I think that he should hire somebody for creative, because if he doesn't, this company's going to go downhill, and it'll be done. They'll sell it to Saudi Arabia, and that'll be that. Now they're having a hard time selling WrestleMania tickets. I wonder why. It's not because of bad booking. It's because the ticket prices are so expensive. When I was a kid, you could buy a ticket to go to a Raw for $20 and have a pretty good seat. Now, you pay $500 and you're in the nosebleeds. It's not okay. TKO, stop being greedy. Stop being anti-families. Levesque, look in the mirror. You can't handle this job, all these jobs at once. I know you want to be an on-screen character. I know you can't wrestle anymore. Go be a manager. Go be a general manager or authority figure. Hire somebody for creative and talent relations. And that, you guys, is well worth it.